Welcome to a story that will take you from the heights of hope and joy to the depths of sorrow and courage. Meet Alana Williams, a 22-year-old who, despite her bright smile and unwavering dedication, faces relentless challenges as she works tirelessly to support her ailing mother and two younger siblings. The journey begins with her unyielding commitment to her family, but soon takes a harrowing turn when her life is irrevocably altered by the actions of someone she trusted. As Alana navigates through her darkest moments, including a devastating betrayal and a relentless fight for justice, she discovers a strength she never knew she had. From the cold streets of Atlanta to a surprising twist that changes her life, this is a tale of resilience, heartache, and the indomitable will to secure a better future. Stick around to witness Alana's incredible journey from despair to hope and find out how she transforms her pain into purpose. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Alana Williams, a 22-year-old woman, was widely recognized for her ever-present smile and her relentless determination. For the past 2 years, she had been diligently working at the Grand Lawson Mansion, a role that demanded not only discretion but also a profound commitment to her duties. Her exceptional dedication was the cornerstone of her livelihood, which was crucial as she had a family to support. Her mother, Grace, was in a dire state of health, suffering from a serious illness that required constant care. Alana's two younger siblings, Malik, who was 15, and Jasmine, who was just 10, also depended on her. The daily routine at the mansion was grueling and exacting. Alana's day began before the first light of dawn, and she often found herself working late into the night. Despite the demanding nature of her job, she remained steadfast in her efforts, doing everything in her power to ensure her family's basic needs were met. Her interaction with the Lawson family was minimal and largely formal. The only person from the household who occasionally spoke with her was Richard Lawson, the head of the family, who only addressed her on rare occasions. As Alana went about her duties at the mansion, her thoughts were never far from her ailing mother. Each day, Grace's health seemed to deteriorate further, intensifying Alana's anxiety and frustration. She was acutely aware that she needed more financial resources to afford the necessary medication for Grace, but job opportunities in her area were few and far between. The weight of her responsibilities felt almost unbearable at times, pressing down on her shoulders like an insurmountable burden. That evening, after another long day of work, Alana returned to their modest rented apartment in the city's suburbs. The apartment, though small, was a haven of sorts where she sought solace from the day's demands. As she walked through the door, she was greeted by the sight of her mother, Grace, lying weakly on the couch, her body racked by persistent coughs. The sight of Grace in such a fragile state only deepened Alana's sense of helplessness and worry, amplifying her fears about the future and her ability to provide for her family. "How was work today?" my dear Grace asked with a tender effort to smile, her voice soft and frail. "It was good, Mom. Just a regular day," Alana answered, kneeling beside the couch and gently clasping her mother's hand. Malik and Jasmine burst into the room with their usual energy, their laughter and playful chatter momentarily filling the space with a sense of normalcy. Alana looked at her siblings, her heart swelling with a fleeting sense of peace amidst the relentless chaos of her life. "Alana, you've been working so hard," Grace said, her hand moving to stroke her daughter's face with a mixture of concern and affection. "I'm worried about you." "Don't worry," Mom Alana replied, her voice steady but her eyes betraying her inner turmoil. "I'll take care of everything. You just focus on getting better, okay?" Jasmine, ever hopeful and full of curiosity, chimed in. "Alana, did you bring anything tasty from work today?" Her eyes sparkled with the anticipation of a treat. "Sorry, Jasmine," Alana said with a sad smile, feeling the weight of her promises. "I couldn't bring anything today, but I promise we'll do something special this weekend." Maybe we can bake cookies or have a little picnic." As the day surrendered to night, Alana retired to her modest bed, her body aching with fatigue. Despite her exhaustion, her mind was ablaze with thoughts of a brighter future. She dreamed of a day when she would secure a better-paying job that could ease her financial burdens and provide her family with the comfort they so desperately needed. Although she understood that life would continue to present challenges, her resolve remained unshaken. The dreams of better days and the hope of improving her family's situation were her guiding lights, fueling her determination to persevere through the hardships that lay ahead. The next morning, Alana began her day as she always did. Rising with the sun, she started by preparing herself a simple breakfast. The morning routine was familiar and comforting, a well-oiled machine of efficiency and habit. After finishing her meal, she gathered her siblings, who were still groggy from sleep, and drove them to school. The car ride was filled with the usual chatter and laughter, a small, serene moment before she transitioned to her workday. With her siblings safely at school, Alana made her way to the Grand Lawson mansion, ready for another day of duties that she had come to know so well. The mansion, with its imposing facade and sprawling grounds, was a place of both grandeur and strict routine. Alana moved through her tasks methodically, her movements becoming almost automatic in their precision. Unbeknownst to her, this ordinary day was about to take a turn that would alter her life in ways she could never have anticipated. As evening fell, Alana was wrapping up her shift at the mansion. The clinking of dishes being washed and the soft hum of the kitchen's late-night activity created a backdrop of familiar sounds. The dinner service had been completed, the leftovers neatly stored away, and the kitchen cleaned to a shine. With her duties done, she prepared to leave for the night, hoping to catch the last bus home, where she could unwind after a long day. However, just as she was about to step out, a voice interrupted the quiet of the kitchen. It was a voice laced with a cold, commanding tone. "Alana, I need to speak with you," the words cut through the stillness, making Alana's heart skip a beat. She turned to see Richard Lawson standing in the doorway, his face etched with a stern, unyielding expression. "Yes, mister." Lawson, Alana responded, her voice betraying a hint of unease. Richard Lawson, the master of the house, rarely addressed her directly, especially not at this late hour. His sudden summons sent a shiver down her spine. "Come to my office. We need to discuss some matters," Richard instructed, already turning on his heel and heading down the long, shadowy hallway. Alana stood there momentarily, the air around her feeling heavier with uncertainty. Though she was apprehensive, she knew better than to refuse a direct order from her employer. With a deep breath, she followed Richard down the corridor to his private office. The office was a stark contrast to the more welcoming areas of the mansion. It was dominated by dark, heavy furniture, and Richard's imposing mahogany desk seemed to command the room. The walls were lined with bookshelves filled with leather-bound volumes, and the dim lighting cast long shadows that seemed to deepen the room's austere atmosphere. As Richard took his place behind the desk and gestured for Alana to come closer, the gravity of the situation settled over her. "Mr. Lawson, what do you need to discuss?" Alana asked, her voice steady despite the apprehension she felt. She tried to keep her composure as she approached the desk, though her mind raced with questions and worries about what this unexpected meeting might entail. "There's something I need from you," Alana, Richard said, his gaze piercing and unsettling. His eyes, usually so distant and impersonal, now seemed to bore into her with a level of intensity that made her skin crawl. "You've been working well, but there's more you can do to please me." Alana's brow furrowed in confusion and alarm. "Sir, I don't understand." "I do everything I'm asked," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady despite the growing unease in her chest. Her mind raced, trying to make sense of Richard's cryptic and troubling words. If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time." Without warning, Richard stood abruptly and walked toward her. His imposing figure seemed to grow larger with each step, and the air in the room felt thicker, as if it were closing in around her. "There are different ways to please, Alana," he said, his tone taking on a menacing edge. "And you're going to do exactly what I say." Before she could fully process his words or react, Richard reached out and grabbed her with a force that was both unexpected and terrifying. Alana's heart pounded in her chest as she struggled against his grip. She fought with all her strength, but his physical dominance quickly overwhelmed her. Desperation fueled her efforts, but they proved futile against his strength. "Please, Mr. Lawson, let me go." "What are you doing?" Alana screamed, her voice filled with fear and confusion as she tried to wrench free from his hold. Richard's expression remained cold and unyielding. "You will do what I say, Alana." "That's an order," he said with a chilling calmness, completely disregarding her desperate pleas. The room seemed to close in on her as Richard's intentions became horrifyingly clear. That night, the balance of power shifted irrevocably, and Alana faced an ordeal that would forever scar her sense of safety and trust. When Alana finally managed to escape, she fled the office, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and disbelief. Tears streamed uncontrollably down her face as she hurried out of the mansion, her emotions a tumultuous storm. Her hands shook violently as she made her way to the bus stop, the enormity of what had just occurred still too overwhelming for her to fully grasp. Each step felt like an eternity, and as she boarded the bus, she sat numbly, barely registering the passing scenery. The bus ride home felt interminable. Each stop was a reminder of how far she was from the safety and familiarity of her own space. Arriving at her house, the quietness was almost a relief. She found her mother peacefully asleep in her room, her siblings already tucked in bed, their innocent slumber a stark contrast to the chaos that raged within Alana. She slipped into her room with the utmost stealth, her heart aching with the weight of her secret. The door clicked shut behind her, and as she sank to the floor, the dam of her emotions burst. She sobbed with a raw, heart-wrenching intensity, her body shaking with each cry. "How could he do this to me?" she wondered aloud between gasps of breath. The pain of the night's events was unbearable, and the thought of facing her family with this burden was almost more than she could endure. What am I going to do now? The isolation was suffocating. The fear that no one would believe her or understand what had happened to her gnawed at her insides. She felt a deep, crushing responsibility to be strong for her mother and siblings, but the weight of her ordeal felt like an insurmountable mountain. How am I going to face this alone? Alana thought, the feeling of desperation making her head spin. The days that followed were a disorienting blur of dread and anguish for Alana. She clung to a facade of normalcy, striving to maintain some semblance of routine for her family's sake, but beneath the surface, she was fragmented and in pieces. She continued working at the mansion, each encounter with Richard sending shivers of fear through her. She avoided him whenever possible, but the trauma of that night clung to her like a relentless shadow, refusing to let her forget. Every creak of the mansion, every echo of laughter, was a reminder of her suffering. Alana knew she had to find a way to move forward, but her path seemed obscured by the weight of her pain. The only certainty she clung to was her resolve to protect her family at all costs, even if it meant carrying the heavy burden of her secret alone. Her determination to shield them from the truth was both her solace and her prison, and as she navigated through each day, she remained haunted by the shadows of that fateful night. The passage of time felt interminable for Alana, each month dragging on with an agonizing slowness. She diligently continued her daily responsibilities at the Lawson mansion, yet the weight of that fateful night loomed over her like an unshakable shadow. Her thoughts were often consumed by it, and the memory of the events from that night haunted her every waking moment. As days turned into weeks, Alana began experiencing persistent bouts of nausea, a sensation that left her feeling unsettled and uneasy. Coupled with the realization that her period had not arrived as expected, the signs of her situation became impossible to ignore. After much internal conflict and anxiety, she finally resolved to take a pregnancy test. Her hands were unsteady and her heart raced as she awaited the result. When the test revealed a positive result, the reality of her situation struck her with an overwhelming force. Alana was pregnant. The knowledge of her condition filled her with a deep sense of dread and shame, almost paralyzing emotions. Despite these feelings, Alana understood that she could no longer avoid the truth. She knew she had to inform Richard about the situation, regardless of the fear that gripped her. On a gray, rainy morning, after completing her duties and serving breakfast, Alana steeled herself. Summoning every ounce of courage she possessed, she made her way to his office. "Mr. Lawson, I need to talk to you." "It's very important," Alana said, her voice barely above a whisper, trembling with anxiety as she stood before him. She hesitated, waiting for him to acknowledge her presence. Richard, engrossed in the stack of papers on his desk, barely glanced up. "Alana, I'm quite busy at the moment." "Can this wait?" he replied, his tone dismissive and indifferent. "No, sir, it can't. I'm pregnant, and you are the father," Alana said, each word coming out with great effort, her voice cracking with the weight of her revelation. The gravity of her confession seemed to finally penetrate Richard's focus, and he looked up from his papers, his gaze icy and piercing. "Are you accusing me of fathering your child? How dare you make such a claim?" Richard's voice was filled with incredulity and anger. "It's the truth, sir. I don't know what to do or where to turn." "I thought you should know," Alana replied, tears beginning to stream down her cheeks, each one a testament to the turmoil and despair she felt inside. "This is outrageous. Are you trying to blackmail me?" Richard roared, his voice echoing through the opulent mansion. His anger was palpable, radiating like a storm front, causing Alana to instinctively take a step back. Richard's rage was so intense that it felt like a physical force pushing her away. With a look of unrelenting fury, he stormed across the room and physically escorted Alana out of the house. His actions were ruthless. He showed no mercy as he hurled her belongings out and slammed the door behind her. Alana stood outside, clutching a small suitcase containing her few possessions, feeling the weight of her precarious situation. Stripped of her job and with nowhere to turn, she wandered through the streets of Atlanta, her sense of helplessness growing with each step. The city, once full of possibilities, now seemed indifferent and cold, offering her no solace. The news of her expulsion and the unexpected pregnancy hit her mother, Grace, like a thunderbolt. Grace, whose health had been deteriorating for some time, was overwhelmed by the dual burden of her daughter's predicament and her frailty. Her voice trembled with fear and helplessness as she spoke. "What are we going to do, my daughter? How will we ever manage to get through this? How will we survive?" Alana, despite her despair, took her mother's hands in hers, trying to convey a sense of hope and determination. "I'll find a way, Mom. I promise you, I won't let us fall apart. We'll get through this together," she said, her voice firm but gentle, her resolve as strong as ever despite the overwhelming challenges. As days turned into weeks, Alana faced a relentless series of obstacles. Securing a new job became an elusive dream, as Richard's influence and network seemed to stretch far beyond the confines of the mansion. Each job interview ended with vague rejections and ambiguous excuses, making it clear that Richard had indeed followed through on his threats. Alana knew in her heart that his reach was long and his vengeance was far from over. With every setback, her resolve only hardened, but the road ahead seemed increasingly insurmountable. "I'm sorry, Miss Williams, but we don't have any openings at the moment," the manager of the local restaurant said, his gaze shifting uneasily as he avoided making eye contact with her. "But I saw the ad on the door. Please, I need this job," Alana implored, her voice trembling with desperation. The manager sighed, clearly uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, but the position has been filled," he said curtly, his words clipped as he quickly closed the door behind him. Stunned and defeated, Alana's heart sank. She had hoped this job might be the solution to her dire situation, but now it seemed that hope was slipping away. She turned away from the closed door, feeling the weight of her circumstances pressing down on her. In her desperation, she sought help from various charity organizations, only to find that their resources were stretched thin and unable to offer much assistance. Without a stable income, maintaining the apartment she had rented for her family had become impossible. The prospect of nights spent on the streets, braving the cold and the dangers of the city, loomed large. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, Alana refused to give up. Her determination to secure a better future for her child and family fueled her relentless drive, pushing her to keep going despite the obstacles. One chilly evening, as the harsh reality of their situation settled over them, Alana and her mother, Grace, along with Malik and Jasmine, found themselves huddled together in a temporary shelter. The makeshift accommodation was a far cry from the warmth and security they had once known. Grace, though weak and weary, reached out to hold her daughter's hand with a gesture of reassurance. "You are so strong, Alana." "I know we will get through this," Grace said softly, her voice barely above a whisper but imbued with a deep, unwavering hope. Alana's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at her mother. Her voice cracked with emotion as she responded, "I won't give up, Mom. I'll find a way to get us out of this situation. I promise." The tears streamed down her face, but her resolve remained unshaken. Amid her struggles, Alana's commitment to her family and her unwavering hope for a brighter future were the only things that kept her moving forward. Alana's life had always been fraught with hardship, but she understood that she could not afford to give up. Each day presented its own set of struggles, but amid the darkness, she clung to the hope that one day justice would prevail. Her resolve to secure a better future for her child remained unwavering, despite the formidable obstacles she faced. If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. As the months passed, Alana's pregnancy became more apparent, and with it, her determination grew stronger. She realized that the only way to ensure a stable future for her child was to prove that Richard Lawson was the father. Her fight for justice became a beacon of hope, driving her to seek legal counsel, though she quickly discovered that Richard's influence seemed to stretch into every corner of the legal system. In her quest for justice, Alana stumbled upon a small law firm located in a modest neighborhood, far removed from the affluent circles of Richard's world. The firm was led by Marcus Hayes, a lawyer with a reputation for taking on difficult cases and advocating fiercely for justice. "Miss Williams, I recognize the gravity of your situation," Marcus said, his eyes reflecting genuine empathy. "However, you should be prepared for a protracted and arduous battle. This won't be easy." "I understand," Alana replied, her voice steady despite the weariness that clung to her. "I just need to try. I need to see this through to prove the truth." With Marcus's guidance, Alana initiated a lawsuit against Richard Lawson, aiming to establish paternity and secure financial support for her child. The legal proceedings were intense and demanding, filled with numerous court appearances, strategic legal maneuvers, and emotional strain. Alana's resolve was tested at every turn, but she remained undeterred. Her love for her unborn child and the desire to provide for her family fueled her perseverance, giving her the strength to navigate the relentless challenges of the legal battle. The trial proved to be an emotionally draining ordeal for Alana. Richard Lawson, determined to discredit her and undermine her character, launched a relentless attack, questioning her integrity and casting doubts on her credibility. Despite his efforts, Marcus, her steadfast attorney, mounted a vigorous defense. He presented compelling evidence and argued passionately, striving to paint a true picture of Alana's situation and secure justice for her. As the trial progressed toward its conclusion, Alana was confronted with yet another devastating challenge. Grace's health, already fragile, took a severe turn for the worse, necessitating her admission to the hospital. The weight of her mother's deteriorating condition added a new layer of anguish to Alana's already tumultuous life. "I'm so sorry," Mom Alana said through her tears, sitting by her mother's bedside. Her voice trembled with a mixture of sorrow and helplessness. "I wish there was more I could do for you." Grace, though weakened by her illness, mustered the strength to offer comfort to her daughter. Her voice was faint, but her words carried the warmth and pride she felt for Alana. "You are doing everything you can, my dear. I am so proud of you," she said, her eyes filled with love and admiration. After a few agonizing weeks, the long-awaited verdict finally arrived. The court declared Richard Lawson as the father of Alana's child, and he was ordered to provide child support. Additionally, a restraining order was issued against him to ensure Alana's safety and protect her from further harassment. The decision was a significant victory for Alana, but the triumph was tinged with profound personal loss. The victory came at a great cost, as Grace passed away shortly after the trial, leaving Alana to navigate the future without her mother's support. At her mother's funeral, Alana stood resolute, her grief overshadowed by the pressing responsibility of caring for her younger siblings. Mom Alana whispered through her tears, "I promise I will take care of Malik and Jasmine. I'll do everything I can to make sure they are okay." Her vow was a solemn promise to honor her mother's memory and fulfill the responsibilities that now rested on her shoulders. Alana's journey was marked by profound challenges, but amidst the turbulence, she discovered a wellspring of strength in her family and the boundless love she held for her child. Life had not been kind to her, presenting relentless obstacles and hardships that seemed insurmountable. Yet, amid these trials, Alana's spirit remained unbroken. Her determination to forge a brighter future for herself and her child was unwavering. The struggle had undeniably transformed her, revealing a deep reservoir of inner strength she hadn't fully realized before. Each day she faced the world with unwavering courage, buoyed by the knowledge that the love she carried for her family would be her guiding light through even the darkest of times. Her most pressing concern was navigating a daunting legal battle, one that was critical not just for her stability but for ensuring a secure future for her unborn child. Despite the absence of recognition from Richard, she was resolute in her commitment to providing her baby with a life filled with love and respect. The months leading up to the birth were exceptionally challenging, testing her endurance and resilience. When she finally gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, whom she named Lucas, her heart swelled with a fierce, protective love. Life on the streets of Atlanta was unrelenting and harsh, but Lucas's arrival brought a renewed sense of purpose and strength. Alana knew that for Lucas she would find a way, no matter how difficult, to carve out a better future. Holding Lucas close, Alana spoke softly to him, her voice filled with a blend of hope and determination. "Lucas, my precious love, you are the beacon of light in my life. I promise you, with every fiber of my being, that I will do everything in my power to give you a better life. Together, we will face these challenges and we will overcome them." As she cradled her baby in her arms, Alana's resolve was steadfast. She understood that the path ahead would be fraught with difficulties, but her love for Lucas was a powerful force that would drive her to persevere. She was committed to raising him with all the love and care she could muster, never wavering in her dedication to his well-being. Despite the adversities, Alana was determined not to surrender her hopes and dreams for her child. 5 years had passed since Alana gave birth to her son, Lucas. The journey had been a relentless struggle for Alana and her family. Despite the hardships, her resolve remained unshakable. They had spent countless nights in shelters, subsisting on the charity of others and the sporadic kindness of a few friends. Alana worked tirelessly, doing everything within her power to provide a stable and nurturing environment for her young son. Lucas, now 5 years old, had grown into a bright and affectionate child, his laughter and boundless energy serving as a beacon of joy and hope in Alana's otherwise challenging life. One sweltering summer afternoon, as the sun blazed down on the local park where Alana and Lucas were enjoying a rare moment of leisure, Alana's phone rang, breaking the serenity of their playtime. It was Marcus Hayes, the lawyer who had once fought to support her during a turbulent period in her life. "Alana, it's Marcus. I need to speak with you urgently." "It's about Richard Lawson," Marcus said, his tone grave and urgent. Alana's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the name. "What's happened, Marcus?" she inquired, a chill of apprehension creeping down her spine. "Richard is gravely ill," Marcus revealed. "He's been given a very limited time to live and has requested to see you. He wishes to ask for forgiveness and to formally acknowledge Lucas as his son." The news struck Alana like a thunderbolt. She stood motionless, grappling with the weight of Marcus's words. "He wants to see us? I'm not sure if I can go through with this. What if this is just another one of his manipulative schemes?" she said, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and skepticism. "I understand your reluctance," Marcus said gently, his tone full of empathy. "But consider this possibility. This might be an opportunity to seek justice for Lucas, to confront the past, and perhaps gain some closure. It's a chance to address unresolved issues that have lingered for years. Please think it over." Alana took a deep breath, her resolve solidifying as she looked at Richard. "Lucas," she said, guiding him gently towards the bed, "this is Richard. He's someone you need to know about." Lucas's wide eyes darted between Alana and Richard, sensing the gravity of the situation. "Hi," he said softly, not quite understanding the full weight of the encounter. Richard's eyes softened as he looked at the boy. "Hi, Lucas. He started, but his voice broke. Alana squeezed Lucas's hand. "Richard wants to tell you something important about our family." Richard struggled to sit up a little straighter, gathering what strength he had left. "Lucas, I'm your grandfather. I know I've been absent, and I'm sorry for that. I've made many mistakes, and I've hurt your mother more than I can ever apologize for." Lucas looked up at Alana, seeking reassurance. She nodded, encouraging him to listen. "What do you want to tell him?" Richard Alana asked. If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Richard took a shaky breath. "I want to make things right. I know it won't change the past, but I hope it helps in some way. I want to support you and your mother, Lucas. And Alana, I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me, even if it's just a little." Alana watched Richard with a mix of skepticism and cautious hope. It wasn't just about forgiveness, it was about what was best for Lucas. She knew this was just the beginning of a complex journey, but for now she focused on the healing potential, both for her son and for herself. Richard's gaze, heavy with remorse, bore down on Lucas. "Lucas, my son, I need you to understand something. I am your father, and I am profoundly sorry for everything I inflicted upon your mother. I wish with all my heart that I could turn back time and undo my mistakes. If only I could, I would change everything." Alana, tears cascading down her cheeks, held Lucas close. The emotional gravity of the moment was almost overwhelming, yet she recognized the importance of this step for her son's future. Richard extended his hand to Marcus, handing over the legal documents that officially recognized Lucas as his rightful heir. The paperwork ensured that Lucas would inherit a substantial portion of Richard's estate. "Lucas, this man is your father. He's here to help us now," Alana said, her voice trembling with a mixture of sadness and hope. Lucas, with his innocent eyes wide open, looked up and asked, "Are you going to take care of us?" Richard's voice, once harsh and unyielding, now carried a tone of sincerity. "Yes, son, I promise to do everything in my power to care for you," he said. The illness that had ravaged him had softened the once cold and distant man. Just a few days later, Richard passed away, leaving behind a complex legacy for Alana and Lucas to navigate. His fortune was more than enough to lift them out of their dire circumstances, providing them with a new lease on life. Despite the trials and heartache, Alana felt a deep sense of justice had been achieved for her son. "Alana, you did it. You fought with all your strength, and now you can give Lucas the life he deserves," Grace said, her voice brimming with admiration. "Yes, Mom, thank you so much for your unwavering support and for standing by us through everything. Now, let's focus on building a new future together," Alana replied, her voice filled with the joy that came from finally being able to offer her family a brighter tomorrow. Alana and Lucas had finally reached a turning point in their lives. Despite the enduring scars of their past, the future now shimmered with hope and boundless possibilities. The inheritance left by Richard Lawson had granted them a fresh start, allowing Alana to envision a brighter future for her son, one that she had longed to provide. Their lives had transformed drastically. They settled into a modest yet cozy apartment situated in a secure and welcoming neighborhood. This new chapter offered Alana the chance to prioritize Lucas's education and embark on a path of personal reinvention. Determined to build a stable and prosperous future, she enrolled in a vocational course in business administration. Her goal was clear: to create a solid foundation for both herself and her son. Lucas, too, was embarking on a new journey as he started school at a reputable institution. As Alana dropped Lucas off at his new school, his small voice carried a mixture of concern and curiosity. "Mommy, will you be okay at school today?" Alana bent down to his level, her face a beacon of reassurance. "Yes, my love, and you'll make lots of friends. It's going to be a great adventure for both of us." Lucas's eyes sparkled with excitement as he replied, "I'll try, Mommy. I want to tell them all about our new house." As the months rolled by, Alana began to feel a growing sense of security and confidence in her new surroundings. The transition had not been without its difficulties, though. Despite the financial stability provided by the inheritance, Alana grappled with the lingering stigma of her past and the constant responsibility of raising Lucas as a single mother. Each day was a mix of challenges and triumphs as she navigated her way through this new chapter of their lives, determined to make the most of the second chance they had been given. One afternoon, after finishing a class, Alana met with Marcus Hayes at their favorite local cafe. Their friendship had deepened over the years, with Marcus not only becoming a trusted advisor but also a close friend and mentor. They sat down at a cozy corner table, the warm ambience of the cafe providing a comforting backdrop for their conversation. "Alana, I have to say, I'm truly impressed with everything you've managed to achieve in such a short period," Marcus said, his eyes reflecting sincere admiration. "How are you holding up?" Alana took a sip of her coffee, considering his question carefully. "I'm feeling good overall, Marcus, but there are still tough days. Sometimes I question whether I can keep up this pace," she admitted, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. Marcus leaned in slightly, his expression a mixture of concern and encouragement. "You are one of the strongest individuals I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, Alana. Remember, you're not alone in this. We're all here to support you, every step of the way," he said with a reassuring smile. As time went on, Alana began to immerse herself in support groups for women who had faced similar struggles. These gatherings became a sanctuary for her, where she found both solace and strength. The shared experiences of the other women resonated deeply with her, and she soon found herself speaking up, sharing her own story to help others find hope and resilience. One day, during a support group meeting, a woman with tear-filled eyes spoke up. "I didn't think I could ever move past what happened to me. But hearing your story, Alana, has given me a glimmer of hope. Alana reached out and gently held the woman's hand, her voice full of warmth and conviction. Never stop believing in yourself. We often underestimate our strengths, but together we can overcome even the greatest challenges. You're stronger than you realize, and there's always hope. If you are still watching this video and find these stories useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Alana embarked on a new chapter by taking on a part-time role at a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting women and children in vulnerable situations. This job brought a profound sense of purpose into her life, allowing her to contribute meaningfully to the very community that had once provided her with essential support during her most challenging times. Through her work, Alana felt a deep connection to the mission of the organization, finding fulfillment in the act of giving back and making a tangible difference in the lives of others. At home, a sense of stability was gradually taking root. Grace, despite her ongoing frailty, was receiving compassionate and attentive care. The peace of mind Grace experienced from knowing her daughter and grandson were safe and well-adjusted was a great comfort to her. Malik and Jasmine were flourishing in their new educational environments and adapting remarkably well to the changes in their lives. One sunny afternoon, Alana and Grace sat together on the balcony of their new apartment, basking in the warmth of the day. Alana, observing the joyful energy of her children, turned to Grace with a heartfelt expression. "Mom, just look at how happy the kids are." "I never could have imagined this a few years ago," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Grace, her eyes shining with pride and affection, responded warmly, "You've transformed our lives, Alana. Your courage and determination have been nothing short of extraordinary. I am so proud of you." Her smile conveyed a deep sense of love and admiration. Though the journey had been fraught with difficulties, Alana reflected on the path she had traveled with a sense of accomplishment. She had faced and overcome immense challenges, and through it all, emerged stronger and more resilient. The trials had been long and arduous, but they had shaped her into the person she had become, ready to embrace the future with hope and strength. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Alana's inspiring story. We hope you found this narrative as moving and uplifting as we did. What have you learned from Alana's journey and the challenges she faced? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below with one key takeaway from this story and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life. If you liked this video, please leave your comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated with more content that inspires and empowers. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing more stories with you soon.